What's up, guys? Welcome to Nimble Minds Talks of Self and Spirituality, where we talk about different philosophical perspectives as well as spiritual practices. And in this video, I'm going to be just giving my perspective and take on soul ties and the exchange of spirits and that whole kind of thing. Even though that sounds like uh, it can sound like out of this world or like the fantasy talk. I do believe at least there is some truth to it. So I'm just gonna be going over that, and this is actually the other video I did where I was going over it the first time, like how I was like showing my face and all that, and I was talking about it in the video, like I mentioned I would talk about it in the video, but I didn't really get into it in the video. So this video is going to be for that, okay? And also with that, this is gonna be the last video where I don't have like an image up or something while I'm talking, because once again, as I have already stated before, I just prefer doing that, like, because when I rewatch these videos, I just prefer looking at that while I'm like rewatching or listening to these videos, because those other two videos I did, I rewatched those and it was perfectly fine. It was fine. I was still able to, look at the video, listen to the video, enjoy the video and all that, even laugh at myself. But I would just prefer to have that background. Honestly, I just love that. So anyway, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this video. So soul ties, well, what is that? Well, it's in the name. It's when your soul, your essence, your energy is tied up with someone else's, okay? And let's go ahead and break that down to see how that would even make any sense, right? Like a soul tie, what are we talking about here? Are you talking about some kind of show or something? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Ghosts, ha ha. But really, there is some truth to that. And we'll start with the most common part, right? Because when most people hear soul ties, it's, once again, they're thinking about like the sexual aspect, like you're having sex with somebody or you're laying with somebody. And yes, that is an aspect of soul ties, but a lot of the other aspects of it, which are really important, is also the emotion that's with it, the feeling that's with it, and the amount of time that you put in with this person, okay? And then the sex on top of it is like the exclamation mark, okay? Like, that's just like a big part of it as well. But a big part of soul ties is the time that you spend with these people, and like you really, enjoying the time with whoever the person you're spending this time with, okay? Because let's get on the other end of it. You can sleep with a lot of people and you can sleep with some people and not have any connection to them. Will you still have spirits that enter you? Yes. Can you still have some disruption? Yes. But there's plenty of people out there that I'm sure have slept with, maybe over the course of a week, a lot of people, and they didn't have any connection to them. It was out of pure lust, right? So you can do that, okay? And that's me not speaking from experience here. Trust me, I ain't, look, DMs dry. I don't even got the DMs, you feel me? So, hey, but that is just the case with that, okay? So there are people out there that can sleep with people and not have any type of connection at all. And that's why it's also about the emotion behind it, the feeling behind it, and the amount of time and effort that the people are actually putting in. Because then when they finally, experience that act, the intimacy, the sex, however you want to say, you know, that's when it's like the stamp on top that really seals it, and you end up with that strong soul tie, okay? So why are we even talking about soul ties? Why are soul ties even important? Like, I don't want to hear what you're saying right now. Listen, one aspect that I really do like to focus on is lust, right? That is one of the, if you're into the deadly sins, right? If you're into that, regardless of wherever you go, whatever text you read, it's going to be referencing lust somewhere, with like the control of that energy, the control of your sexual energy, okay? And that's a very powerful energy. That's why I like to focus on it, okay? Because a lot of people, hey, that lust take them right up out the game, just like that. It's not even funny, but that is what it does. Lust will have you out here looking crazy. But let's get into the other aspect of the soul tie, okay? When you are laying with someone, you should be careful, because the reality of the situation is you don't always understand everything this person has been through, and you may not need to understand that, but you need to be aware of this. This person may have their own things they're dealing with, okay? And this person may not be truthful. This person may not even be the person that you really want to be with long term, okay? So you need to be careful, okay, when you're laying with these people, when you're, just sleeping around, doing your thing, okay? Because at the end of the day, there is an exchange of spirits that go on, okay? And when you're doing these kind of things, these kind of sexual activities, and the intimacy is a very important aspect, okay? And a lot of things you can see on the internet, they may try to make it seem like it's not important, and it's one of those things you can just throw around. I mean, you could throw it around, then you'll get thrown around, you know what I'm saying? But you can throw that stuff around, right? But it's not, you shouldn't do that, because at the end of the day, it's going to leave you in that state of confusion. It's going to leave you not focused on what the goal is, or whatever your goal is, okay? And it will just leave you distracted. And that is not where you want to be at all. You want to be focused, okay? Whatever your goal you have set for yourself, whether that is you're trying to open a business, whether you're trying to start this career, whether you actually want a family, okay? Because let's talk, like, if you actually want a family, then getting soul tied up is probably not the best, especially if you're getting tied up with somebody that's not the plan, right? So these are just things you need to be cognizant of, things you need to be aware of, right? Because if this is a very big distraction, the sex, the soul ties, the lust, all that stuff will literally derail your life. It will literally take you, you know what I'm saying? And can you course correct? Of course you can, right? But it is pretty difficult, because now you've given so much time to this person, and that's time you're not going to get back, you know? And it's not that you want to take it back, right? But that time is gone. And the last thing you want to do is have committed, especially in these intimate acts with someone, and then all of a sudden you're talking about you regret it, and that's the last thing you probably want to do. So don't do that, okay? I would just say don't do that then. But once again, easier said than done, easier said than done. So once again, these soul ties, okay, you need to be very aware of not only the person you're laying with, but yourself, okay? Because the last thing you want is someone to be tied to you, right? Is someone to be, all interested in you, and your intentions aren't really to be with this person and give them all of you, or the best parts of yourself, okay? That's the last thing you want as well. Unless, hey, let's look at both sides. Unless you're just on that type of timing, menace behavior, you know what I'm saying? And you're like, because there's some people out here like that, let's be real, that, they want people to be all obsessed with them, and they want people to be, tied to them. And they're like, yeah, this person is just, they keep hitting my line. They just, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's people out here like that. Let's be real. But hopefully, once you get past that, you realize that's just not the way to go, at least for you to focus on your goals, right? That's not the way to go for you to focus on your goals, okay? So you should be careful of that, okay? For example, let's say there's a woman or man, and they've been married, like, let's just say 20 times, right? That's obviously very excessive, and there's probably no one or very few people in the world who have been married that much. But let's just say they've been married 20 times, right? They've been married a lot, okay? And then you're a person who, you maybe haven't been married a lot, and then you are just experiencing this temptation, and you want to go lay with this person. Now, all of their energy, okay, right? And if you're the man laying with the woman, okay, I'm gonna speak from the man perspective. If you're the man, right, and you're laying with the woman, and she's been with all these guys, not only that, she spent all this time, and she's been married to, look, that stuff is some serious stuff, okay? So when you start to get involved with that, now you're getting involved with all those men, even though you may not even know them, right? Okay, because you may not know those men, right? Those guys or whatever, but she still has put her time into them. She still has given up that that sacred energy, bro. Like, in the time, look, in the times that we're in, I get it. I really do get it. The way I'm talking, it sounds like some buffoonery. It sounds like, bro, this guy just, bro, I don't know, bro. I think he needs some coochie. Like, that's probably what it sounds like, and I don't blame you for thinking that. But I'm trying to tell you that that's what it is. Okay, that's just what it is. So if you're gonna be giving your time to people who have already been messing around and doing all these things, at least make sure you're a person who has been messing around and doing at least some of the same things they've been doing, okay? Because can soul ties still happen? Yes, but at least it will be a better understanding, okay? Because you don't want to end up in that situation with that person, and next you know, you're over there like, hey, I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm starting to feel all these emotions, bro, and I just lay with this girl. Like, I don't know what's going on right now. And then, you know, then she starts feeling some type of way, like, what, you know what I'm saying, you can't accept me, and then all these arguments, and it's just like, bro, calm down. All that could be avoided, okay? All that can literally be avoided if you just have control of your Johnson, okay? If you can just control little Timmy, if you can just control little Jimmy, if you can just control the, you know, what's in your pants, which can be difficult, okay? It's not easy, okay? It is not easy. It really is not, okay? So a lot of the people who end up with the soul ties, a lot of people who end up in these situations, oftentimes they aren't even aware of this, and then they become aware of it later, and then they're like, okay, that kind of makes sense, actually. Like, I was out here just slinging this thing, and she, you know, and now that makes sense of why I feel this way, of why I can be, you know, this type of person, okay? Because it really can have an effect on you, especially the exchange of fluids, the exchange of energy. That's literally an act you do when you're trying to have a kid, when you're trying to have a child, okay? You literally sleep with someone. That's the intent, okay? Even if you're just, y'all have an agreement like, hey, we just trying to mess around a little bit, that is still the act that brings life. Whether you agree or not, that's what it is. Like, it's the act that brings life, and that's why it's such an important thing. That's why it has such a heavy effect on you, and that's why you can see a lot of women that are honestly out here. Hey, a lot of women that are out here, even the men, and I'm gonna get on that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna focus on the women right now with the soul ties and the spirits, and then I'm gonna go to the men. All right, we're going, because the men, hey, hold on. Well, look, the women, right? That's why a lot of the women out here that, you know, people put terms on it like thoughts and, you know, hoes. And yes, you can say that, yes. But at the end of the day, it's just a woman who just slept with a lot of people, okay? And yes, it can have its connotations. Yes, it may be dirty, yes. But at the end of the day, that's what it is. You know, she just, hey, she was lusting too, okay? It's for everybody. Lust ain't picking sides. Lust ain't over here like, you know what, I think I want. No. It goes after everybody. So a lot of the women that you may see that have a high count of people they have slept with and given that energy up to, given that box up to, given that entrance up to, that coochie up to, you know what I'm saying, them gates up to, you can see that there's some cognitive dissonance there, in terms of them wanting to accept that what they have done, in terms of the people they have slept with and all this type of stuff. Even if they were like aware of what they were doing, there's still a dissonance when somebody comes to them and they're like, yeah, I don't really want to be with you because you kind of slept around. And then there's like a whole thing, and then that's when you get into the shaming language of, oh, you know what I'm saying, you just don't understand me, or okay, now you're calling me a thought, you're calling me a hoe, and you don't even have to be saying any of that to this person. You could literally just be like, look, I wasn't out here sleeping around, and I would prefer somebody that really wasn't. So like, this is not gonna work. And then they want to come at you all mad. That's them spirits, bro. Like, you can say whatever you want. That's them spirits coming out right there, bro. When they start getting mad, when you start trying to tell them what it is, that's the spirits coming out. That's them entities that they done accumulated over them long nights with them guys, because of the them not having the ability to have that control over their lust. That's all that is, bro. Because, you know what I'm saying, hey, tell the truth, shame the devil. That's what I was raised on. So when you start telling the truth, them spirits start acting up, and all people can do is be who they truly are. And that's, if they're gonna get mad, then they're gonna get mad. If they're gonna be understanding, then they're gonna be understanding. But that's just what it is. So that's why, if you're a person out there, okay, who's out here sleeping around in the streets, who's out here, that's fine. But now go try to get someone who is also, even if they're not doing it anymore, maybe they have experience with that, because the understanding will be there, okay? It will be like, look, I've been on them streets. Look, you've been on them streets. We can be on them streets together. Like, makes way more sense than, you know, a woman that's really been out here trying to really get with a man that's actually been focused, actually been trying to do the right thing and do what he's supposed to do. And now you're trying to bring all those spirits and entities and all those situations over to him. That's not fair, okay? So that's the women's side of it, okay? The women being held accountable right there, okay? They do need to be held accountable, okay? And they've been out here, you know, having that coochie on a seesaw, on a swing, you know what I'm saying, going back and forth. At the end of the day, it gets to a point where that is on them to a certain extent, okay? I get that there's some nuanced situations, and I ain't talking about that, okay? I'm talking about consciously being out here, okay, over the age of like what, 25, because that's when like the prefrontal and everything is supposed to be like officially developed, right? Over that age, if you're still out here actually just, that is on you, okay? Because nobody is forcing you to give up the coochie like that, okay? So you do need to be careful doing that, being out here like that, because that's not okay. So that is the woman side of it as well. Now let's go to the men, okay? Let's go to the guys on this one, because there's definitely a lot of accountability there. Listen, for the guys that are out here, right? I'm gonna just be real. A lot of men believe in if they have their circles, or they get the ego boost and everything from being able to talk about all the women they done slept with, and she did this and I slept with her and she was over here and I messed with her. You know what I'm saying? That's okay. All right, men gonna do at the end of the day what the men gonna do. And same with the women, but a lot of people get an ego boost out of it, and once again, hopefully you kind of like grow out of that, and you realize there's nothing there. What about you sleeping with the whole block is cool? What about you sleeping with the whole block is anything other than you just slept with the whole block? Like that, when are we gonna start being honest? So look, that's where men need to be held accountable as well, because then you have this is with the spirits as well, the soul ties, and this also goes into the influence. That's when you start having people and the younger kids around you, they start to look up to that, okay? They see men out here glorifying, having all these wives, having all these women, and if that's what you want, then hey, more power to you, because at the end of the day, it's going to be different for everybody. Some people want to have multiple wives, and then if the multiple wives are okay with that, then okay, that's beautiful, that's perfect. But in some situations, a lot of times people will say they're okay with something, and then especially in relationships, that's a big one. A lot of times people in relationships are really just compromising, but they'll say they're okay with something, and then, for example, I think I could be wrong here. I'm pretty sure monogamous though is when it's just one, like mono e mono. So look, I'm pretty sure monogamous is just one-on-one, right? Like you're just one man for the woman and one woman for the man. And then poly is multiple, right? So that's when you're in the multiple relationships. There's a lot of situations, right, where the woman will be like, hey, it's okay, like I understand, you know, you just can't be satiated, that greed just can't be satiated, you need to have, you know, the chocolate swirl with the white girl, whatever it is, bro, whatever it is, you need to have all that, okay? And they're gonna be okay with it at first, but then over time, right, time reveals all. Then come to find out she's actually not okay with it, and then, you know, that's when all the passive aggressiveness starts, that's when all the lying to themselves starts, all the delusion starts, and then the arguments start, and it's like, wait, I thought you were okay with this, because let's be real, y'all did have the conversation, y'all did agree on it, but now it's like they're going back like, bro, I thought you said that you were okay with me being with this girl and this girl while I'm with you. I thought this was the agreement. But then she's like, no, I wanted you all to myself and stuff like that. So that can happen. That can definitely happen. And with the men, it's gonna once again influence the younger people to think that it's okay to be out here just sleeping with this girl, sleeping with this woman, and then just causing a lot of unnecessary nonsense going on for no good reason. So it's good to be aware of that. And then for the men, once again, a lot of times, okay, you can also pick up these energies, pick up these spirits from the women. And yes, a lot of times it's like, men, we could just do this and we can do that, sure. But to think that there is nothing happening when you're sleeping with all these women is you also deluding yourself, okay? Because it ain't just women out here sleeping with all these men and now they're messed up and now they have all these spirits. It's also the men as well, okay? It can happen both ways. So a lot of the times men are out here sleeping with all these women, and then not only that, they're sleeping with all these women that have also slept with all these other men, Okay, and maybe they were with women too, who knows? Now the men are starting to embody those spirits. Now the men are starting to pick up these tendencies like the women, and they don't even know it. And now they're deluding themselves and trying to argue with themselves and trying to justify their them giving into temptation. Basically, now they're trying to justify them getting into those deeds, those acts, even though they probably shouldn't have been doing that. Now they're trying to justify it and make it make sense to them because they deep down know that that's not the thing they should have been doing. So that's why you need to be careful, because then you have men out here that, they want to argue with they women. Me personally, I'm not going to argue with you. Like, then you got men out here that want to just, then the ego is on an all-time high because they really believe that because they slept with all these women, whoever she may be, because they really believe that that's like something to brag about, okay? And obviously, there is a growth period when I'm saying these things, right? There is a time where people have to come to a realization. People have to realize, like, oh, okay, maybe I should start changing a couple of things. That is a realization, okay? But after time has passed and you become of a certain age, it's like, maybe once time has passed and you become a certain age, maybe you're just stuck in your ways. I mean, hey, that's okay, because as long as you just accept that, then that's fine. If you accept it, then that's perfectly fine, okay? But it's most of the people who deny that these things are possible, that these things can happen and do happen, that usually have the most cognitive dissonance going on, and then they start projecting on the other people, trying to call them crazy, trying to say they're the one that have the problems, when that doesn't even, it's like, what? That don't even, okay, go ahead. I'm not gonna argue with you. But yeah, so to the men out there, you should also be careful, okay? You should also be careful, because a lot of this can come with the young age, as well as a young mentality. I will say mentality is a big part of this, okay? It is the mentality aspect of it. A lot of people say learn from other people's mistakes, and that is actually very true. You should definitely learn from other people's mistakes, and not just their mistakes, but their lessons, okay? Sometimes people, it's not always that somebody made a mistake. Sometimes people do great things, right? But at the end of the day, you can take something and learn some from their successes and failures. So it's both. It's not just their mistakes, but their lessons and failures, okay? Or the successes and failures. You can learn some from both. So when it comes to the men, yes, there is definitely accountability that needs to be held there as well, okay? Because now let's keep going. Once you get past that mentality, right, and you get to the mentality where if you're a woman, right, let's talk about the women, the nice woman out there. If you're a woman out there, right, okay, let's be real here. With the lust, right, everybody gets that feeling, okay? It's natural to want to, you know what I'm saying, to want to lay with somebody. It's natural to get that urge and be like, dang, I feel like loving on somebody right now. I feel like, you know what I'm saying, touching on somebody. That's natural, okay? If you're, especially like you're a woman, like that's natural. But it's going to get to a point, right, where a lot of women, even men, but I'm focused on the women right now, a lot of women, they get to the point where they're like, you know what, I actually do want this, guy, and I'm not saying like the perfect guy, but they're like, you know what, I'm okay with having actually like a person I can have some good conversation with, that we can just spend some quality time with, and then I can lay with this guy. I'm actually okay with that, and I think that is the right thing to do, at least for me, right? Because it is different for everybody. Some people, they just want to be thotted for the rest of their life, sure. But it's gonna get to a point, right, where if you did not do any type of work, any type of enhancement to your mentality, or any type of, at least give it thought, okay, any type of thinking for this mentality, you're going to have already accumulated these soul ties. You're going to have already accumulated these spirits after sleeping with all these men out here, after sleeping with all these whoever you're sleeping with, you know, just accumulating all these bodies, right? All these intimate acts, and to the point where you may even get to that point where you want these things, but now your body will reject it though, because you want these things, and deep down you may know that it's the right thing to do, but now your body's going to reject it because now you're just so used to the drama, you're just so used to the trauma, you're just so used to all this stuff that deep down the spirit is trying to tell you, your soul is like, this is actually what we need right now, but you just reject it because of the things you've actually done, the things that you have done that have affected your body, that have affected your spirit, that have affected your soul. Now it's like, it's hard to go back. It's just going to be harder to go back, right? Because there's a choice at any stage, but the longer you go without realizing it, it becomes even more devastating and harder once you do realize it. So that's what's going to happen, okay? And there's a lot of women out here who have, I'm sure, have experience with that, okay? They were maybe sleeping around when they were younger, and they accumulated so many bodies and were doing all types of stuff. And then they get older and they actually want to be able to settle down. They actually want to be able to have these things, you know, and they may actually even do it, but they're still rejecting it though. Like deep down, they're just like, they're still rejecting it. Like they just can't do it because of how long they have trained themselves, how long they have, you know, even however you want to say it, you know, program themselves to just be, you know, so free, right? Just to sleep with everybody, and yeah. And then they get to a point where they'll reject it. Now, let's go with the men, right? It's the same thing on this side. It's the same thing on this side. It's gonna get to a time where there may be, right? A guy that's out there that's like, you know what, for the rest of my life, I'm fine with sleeping around. I'm fine with just doing this. You know, hey, all power to you. All power to you. Because once again, I'm not going to be the guy that's kicking down your door talking about some, you know what I'm saying, put your hands up. Why are you out here sleeping with all these thoughts? Why are you out here sleeping with all these? I'm not going to be that guy, okay? I'm going to just be honest with you and be like, if that's what you want, then you could do that, bro. Like, that's the truth, bro. I'm not about to be out here trying to change your whole perspective, trying to change you. I'm just gonna give you the information, and after I do that, I will leave you alone. And then whatever you do, that's you. You know what I'm saying? A good or bad, I'm not about to. But hey, but on the other end of that, there could also come a time where that guy, right, that man decides, you know what, I'm actually fine with having one woman, okay, or maybe, or whatever it is. And then they want to just settle down with that one woman, and then they're fine with that. But once again, if that man has been sleeping around his entire life, you know, lying, cheating, whatever you want to call it, just sleeping around, accumulating the spirits, accumulating these soul ties, right? And keep in mind, let's be realistic about these situations. A lot of times it's like a party going on. A lot of times it's some kind of event going on. And at these events, what is that? They drinking at these events. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with drinking and, you know what I'm saying, smoking, whatever it is that you do. But you have to understand, at these events, that's usually what's happening. People are out here drinking. People are out here smoking under all types of substances, okay? And, hey, more power to you, right? But when you don't understand that, and then you go out here and you start to get soul tied to all these people, all these spirits, all these entities, right? And then you wonder why life becomes difficult for you with relationships later on. You can't be in denial forever. That's all I can tell you. You can't be in denial forever. One day you're gonna have to be like, you know what? You know what I'm saying? I gotta have a conversation with that man in the mirror, okay? Because there's some things that I may have done that I'm just gonna have to eventually face it. You can't run forever, so you know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. You can't run forever. Like, you know, eventually you're gonna have to stop. You're gonna have to stand there, and you're gonna have to come to terms with everything you've done, okay? And then that's just gonna be what it is. And the sooner you do that, the better, honestly, okay? The sooner you do that, the better, okay? It's a little tangent. I'm gonna keep going on this tangent right now, and then I will go back to the soul ties and the spirit ties and all that, the entities. But it comes a time where you can't always run from your problems. Just run towards them, okay? Sometimes, or walk towards them, whatever it is. You can't always run from your problems. There's gonna come a time where you're gonna have to stand there, okay? And your problems might rock you. Your problems might knock you out. But it's better that you face your problems eventually, okay, than to keep running. Because the problem, whether it's a problem, whether it's, because look, if a problem is gonna catch you, that means success is gonna catch you as well, okay? So Whoever's watching, whoever's listening, understand that if a problem will eventually catch you, that means success will eventually catch you. But if you're too busy trying to run from your problems, you're also running from your successes, okay? So the sooner you face whatever it is you believe, you know what I'm saying, that you can't handle, the better off you will be in the long term, okay? Because then you're not lying to yourself. Then at that point, you have accepted what it is that will come to you, and it's like, okay, I understand now, okay? And then you will receive your blessings. Then you will receive the things that really bring you fulfillment. And that may not always be money. That may not always be this fancy car. May not always be all the women. But it's going to be different for the person, okay? Now, let's get back into the soul ties and the spiritual entities and things like that you can get from the sex. Because that is ultimately how I got off into that tangent, right? Because once you have accumulated so many soul ties and so many spirits within you, you cannot run from that, okay? It will catch up to you, and you will start to see it when you try to what? Settle down. When you really try to be that honest man or that honest woman, that's when those spirits, and that's when they will start to show themselves, okay? When you try to settle down, when you try to do the things that, you know, maybe if you had come to the realization a little bit earlier, you could have actually, you know, done it with less turmoil, and it'd be less volatile or less tumultuous, right? Like raging or turbulent, then it would have been a lot smoother. But the longer you try to, you know, push off or prolong it, yeah, eventually it will catch up to you eventually. And, you know, that's what I'm talking about for the men, because the men, it's like that for us as well. And you can deny it, but it is like that for us as well. That's why you get people out here that end up on child support. That's why you get people, and not that that's like the worst thing, because at the end of the day, you're still supporting your child. You still want to support your family, right? But that's how you get people that end up on child support. That's how you get people out here with the baby mama drama. That's how you get people out here with all this extra built up stuff, is because they didn't have D discipline, bro. Hey, D discipline, bro. That's what I'm saying. You need to have D discipline, bro. Like D discipline will take you a long way, okay? You ain't got to listen to me. Matter of fact, all you got to do is turn this video off, stop listening to me right now, and go live your life, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. That's the beauty of what I'm talking about, is that I'm not just making this up. This is stuff that after you stop listening to me right now, after I'm done talking, you're going to literally be able to go out into the world and literally see all this stuff play out and be like, oh, hold up. Something ain't right here, or maybe something is right, and the thing that is right is that you recognized it. That you recognized it. You recognized it. Okay, maybe that is the right thing. So, that is the beauty of this, is that you can see these things play out and see situations of these circumstances that have already played out, and then learn from other people's situations, and then you can make the decision for yourself of whether or not you want to get involved with, you know, these extra souls, with these extra spirits, these extra entities, or maybe you're going to be on the other side of that and be like, you know what? I have enough bodies, okay? Maybe I've slept with enough people at this point in my life. You know, maybe I do need to like relax a little bit and really focus, so I don't end up with all these baby mamas and all this drama and all this gossip and, you know, all this stuff that you probably don't even need to be a part of, right? So at the end of the day, that is what you need to be aware of. That is what you need to be cognizant of, okay? And now that I have discussed the spiritual ties and the soul ties, I do also want to touch on, once again, peer pressure, okay? Societal pressure, okay? SMP, social media pressure, okay? Because these are very real things that also play a hand into why people even get involved in these situations as well. Because let's just go past all that stuff with the it's just the individual, right? It's just this one person who decided to make this decision, and it's all their fault. It's only this one person, because even that could be a cope. That could even be a cope to take the pressure off somebody else and other people who also had a hand in it. So let's be honest here, right? Let's get past that. Let's talk about peer pressure, okay? You may have people around you. You may have friends around you. You may have family around you that have also done these things. And now they're looking to you like, well, he's just going to follow in line. He's gonna have to, you know what I'm saying, eventually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however many people now, because we did these things, right? So now he just has to do it. No. That's the answer. No. You do not have to do that, okay? You do not have to be the person that has all these baby mamas. If you don't want to, or maybe you do, I don't know. Maybe that's like a badge of honor. Hey, if it is for you, congratulations. But if you don't want to be that person, you do not have to, okay? And you just have to, it takes time, but you just have to realize that, okay? Because the peer pressure be strong, the societal pressure be strong, the family pressure be strong, your own mental pressure be strong. I'm just trying to tell you that stuff is just strong. So it's going to get to a point where some people may fold. Some people gonna fold on that pressure. Have I ever folded under pressure? Yes. But do I have any children from no. So I ain't got no children. I ain't got no baby mamas. I ain't got none of that. Trust me, bro. I have like one actual body. If you even want to count that, maybe I gotta make a story about that or something. But it's just one actual. Look, when I say fold under the pressure, I'm not, bro. Technically, it wasn't even fold. But look. Have I folded under pressure? Keep it simple. Yes. Okay. So does that mean other people out here will fold under pressure? Yes. But once you fold under that pressure, okay, it's about how you recover. Okay. It's not always about how you fail. It's how you get up. Okay. So you need to come out here and you need to recover. That's what you need to do. Okay. Because at the end of the day, everybody gonna get hit. Everybody gonna get dazed. Okay. But you need to get up. Okay. And recover and get back at it. Okay. So, and I'm more fortunate. I can tell you that. I'm definitely blessed, okay? I'll tell you that right now. I am more fortunate because I have been in situations where right now I wouldn't even be able to make this video because I'd be a hypocrite, okay? I've been in situations where I could definitely have a kid right now. I could definitely have one baby mama, maybe two baby mamas, you know what I'm saying? So trust me, like I'm definitely fortunate and I'm definitely blessed and I understand that. I understand that. So you know what I'm saying? There's probably people out there who, when they folded under pressure, it resulted in 3 families. You know what I'm saying? It resulted in 6 families, okay? It resulted in 9 families. It resulted in 10 families. It resulted in 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 families. So, hey, at the end of the day, I'm still fortunate that when I did get into those situations, it did not result in like this domino effect to where I don't even have time to make this video because I got wham in the background, you know what I'm saying? So, hey, I am definitely fortunate and blessed. I understand that. But let's get back to it. The societal pressure, okay? We talked about that family pressure, okay? You may have people in your family that have done certain things, and now they're looking at you like, you know what, you just gonna have to do it, my little son, but like, no. So you can say no. And then going to the societal pressure. In society, there's gonna be a pressure because when you come to these history books, okay, and these books that start to lay out timelines of societies and civilizations and people and humans and, you know, the original mans and all these people, then sometimes, right, there are a lot of circumstances where it's like this person had this many wives, this person had this many wives, and this person had this many, you know what I'm saying? It was messing with this many people. So now it's presented as, now you have to mess with this many people if you want to be considered this. Now you have to be with all these people if you want to be considered this. And that's not the truth though. That's not true at all. You do not have to do that actually because somebody else did it. Okay. That's like the one question people always ask is like, if your friend like did this, would you do it? Okay, there's like an actual thing with it, but it's like if your friend did this, does that mean so you would do it? Like the answer is no, bro. Like if that person does something, that does not mean you have to do that at all. So going back to all the wives and all the women and vice versa, all the men and all the husbands, just because there's people out here that have had multiple, you know what I'm saying, on a platter, I'm talking about all you can eat of all this stuff, doesn't mean you have to do that. Because at the end of the day, when you hear these stories, right, at least most of them, when you start getting into, you know, really the details, then you're like, oh, okay, a lot of these situations were not really favorable to the people involved. Then you start to understand, okay, like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do it. But the way it's presented for most people is that this is the way to go, have all these wives, have all these women. And how I perceive that personally is to have all that drama, have all these spirits around me, have all these soul ties that I ain't got no business having. And that's how I perceive it, okay? So just be aware of that, okay? From society, even in school, even in wherever you live at, bro, like you might see a nice woman, bro. If you're a man, you might see because women look good. Like you might see a girl out there, a gal, a woman, you know, and hey, she's just gonna be looking good that day. And it is what it is. Like she looks good. Just acknowledge it, okay? She looks good. okay, but then be realistic. Like, even if I did talk to her, even if this thing did go and progress to where we were in the bed, you know, I was whispering to her and all this stuff, you know, hey, little mama, let me whisper in your ear, let me tell you something nice that you might want to hear or whatever. Is it even worth it? Where is this actually going to lead to beside my pleasure? And if that's what you want, your temptation, your pleasures, hey, I'm going to tell you, I will be the one to tell you, hey, go after it. Go get it. You know what I'm saying? Go get that girl, go get that woman, go do that. But usually once it gets to a point you start to ask yourself these questions, usually it's like, it doesn't really lead anywhere. It doesn't really go, you know. It sounds a lot better when you're thinking about it than when it actually happens, usually, right? So be aware of that, okay? So we talked about the family pressure, okay? How people in your family may have done something, so they expect you to do it. We talked about the societal pressures, how in society, whether that's through school or through that's your environment that you're living in, there may be a pressure to go out and do some of these things, and you don't really need to do that. Now we have the S&P, the social media pressure, okay? We have a lot of smartphones now. A lot of people who are on, maybe not all social media platforms, because once again, I just have YouTube. Even though I am on here a lot, I'm not very social on here. I just watch videos and look at comments. So if that's social, then I'm the most social guy you know, right? But I'm talking about the other social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, what else? Snapchat, any other app where you're actually like texting. The purpose of it is like for you to follow people and then text back and forth and then have these conversations, okay? Those is what I mean when I'm talking about social media. So there is social media pressure. And how is there social media pressure? You know, like, how is there social media pressure? Because, and once again, I'm gonna talk like I'm a person, right, that's on the other side of this. Look, I don't know what you're talking about. You just sound like a person who's easily influenced, bro. Like, I got all this social media. It don't matter to me. I'm just on here and people just don't influence me. People ain't gonna do nothing to me. Bro, I'm standing 10 toes. Matter of fact, man, I'm so mentally tough. I'm so physically strong that, you know what I'm saying, I could look at anything and it may seem like that at first, okay? It may seem like that at first, but eventually over time, it's just going to have a psychological effect on whether it's your subconscious or even your conscious eventually. And whether that effect lasts long or lasts temporarily, it's still going to have an effect on you. So let's get into it. The social media pressures, for example, if you're on Instagram, because there was a point in time where I had Instagram, there was a point in time where I had Snapchat, there was a point in time where I had, what are the other ones? Facebook, didn't have Twitter. That was like probably like the shortest one. I didn't have Twitter that long. What's some more stuff? Reddit. I didn't even talk about Reddit. Yeah, Reddit. I just went on there and looked up stuff. I never really commented, but Reddit, that's technically like a social media, right? So look, all that stuff, right? There's going to be a pressure when you're on Instagram. Okay. First of all, I'm pretty sure how it works is any of these apps, when you get on there, they already have like the top content creators, right? So they're going to be recommended to you off the rip. Even if you don't know who they are, they're going to be recommended to you. And right there, that's a type of pressure, even if you don't realize that's a pressure, because now you see their numbers, you see all the followers, you see all these likes and all this stuff. Even if it's fake, that's the crazy. Even if it's fake, you still see it, so it's gonna have an effect on you. So look, now you think you have to click subscribe. You think you need to click on that video, and now subconsciously, if that's what you want, deep down you start to believe that if you want to be in the position that you are seeing on the screen, you now have to embody that person pretty much. So, for example, if you're watching like let's say a big YouTuber who does like try on hauls or something, because I'm pretty sure that's pretty popular, like people trying on clothes, especially with people who are into fashion and stuff. I'm pretty sure that's a pretty big thing. So if you're into like that kind of stuff, like the people wearing all types of clothes, you're gonna get on one of these apps, whether it's Instagram, Snapchat, or whatever it is, and you're gonna, probably follow one or two of those people, and then maybe watch a few videos or a little bit of the video. And then once you do that, you're telling yourself, okay, if I want to even, be close to this or get into that position, right, I'm going to have to start doing what they're doing. Now you might try to, assimilate to their aesthetic, bro. Now you might try to even what just do the things they're doing, bro. You might, start trying to try on the same clothes they're trying on, stuff like that, because you believe, and that's the pressure, and that's because you believe that in order to get that and get those things that you may not even actually need, that you have to start doing that. That's what that is, and that's the type of pressure right there. And going back, right, because earlier we're talking about the spiritual soul ties, right? You might see a person, right, like an artist or something, who they're projecting this lifestyle of all these women, okay, and vice versa. Even the women, they're projecting the lifestyle of all these men, okay, of all types of stuff, and then they're getting money and all this stuff. So now you believe that in order to be in that position or even in that proximity, you now have to what? You now have to get all those women, or if you're a woman, you now have to get all these men, accumulate all these spirits, accumulate all these souls, accumulate all these soul ties in order to be in the spotlight, in order to be like these people. And the truth is, you don't have to do that, okay? The biggest lie I have been told in my life is fake it till you make it. That is the biggest lie I have ever been told, and I believed it at one point. I really believed it, but that's the biggest lie I've been told is fake it till you make it, man. You can't lie to your spirit. You can't lie to the soul. It's just not gonna happen. Whether you want to ignore it or not, it's not gonna happen, bro. I'm gonna be the first person, if I'm not the first person, to tell you, you can't lie to yourself. Because when you lie to yourself, you're lying to your spirit. When you lie to your spirit, you're lying to your soul. And I think you know who you're lying to when you lie to your soul. So it's not going to happen. Like, you can try, and, you can try to delude yourself into thinking that things are something that they're not. But eventually, the veil will be lifted, the curtains are pulled, and it's like, oh my gosh, there was a string the whole time? Oh, Pinocchio, what? Like, eventually, like, that's just how it works. So once again, that's why I say the sooner the better in terms of when you need to realize what's going on, okay? Because the sooner you realize, the sooner you can make your decision, okay? Because once again, when I talk about these things with the soul ties and things like that, this is not something that, once again, means just because I'm saying that this is a path and this is a way to go, it does not mean at all that you need to listen to me. That is not what I am saying at all. It does not mean you need to listen to me. It does not mean you need to, I would encourage you to not listen to me, actually. That's what I would say. I would be like, look, matter of fact, don't even listen to me. Don't even say anything I'm saying. Go live your life. Go be reckless out here. Go sleep with all these women. If you're a woman, go sleep with all these men. Go do that. That's what I would tell you, okay? And then I would be like, you know what, now, what did that bring you? What did that bring you that was actually fulfilling? Are you still lying to yourself? Are you telling the truth yet? No? Okay. Are you okay with that is the question. That is the big question, because at the end of the day, if that's something you're okay with, then what can I really do for you? Nothing. So there you go. At the end of the day, it's about if you are okay with that. If you're okay with the pressures of the society getting to you, if you're okay with the pressures of the media getting to you, if you're okay with, falling to temptation, if you're okay with falling to lust, if you're okay with falling to greed, if you're okay with falling to gluttony, if you're okay with falling to, gossip, if you're okay with falling to deception, if you're okay with falling to all these things, ill intent, ill will, ill thoughts, you know what I'm saying? If you're okay with that, all power to you. Yeah, all power to you if you're okay with that. But I am just saying, just give it some thought. I would definitely try to recognize some of these things before they consume you, before they take over you, and now you're being guided by your greed. Now you're being guided by your gluttony. Now you're being guided by your lust. And now you're subtracting from the plus. I'm gonna say it again. Now you're being guided by the greed. Now you're being guided by the gluttony. Now you're being guided by the deception, the lies, the lust. And now you're subtracting from the plus. That's all I'm saying. That's all I am saying is, like, some things do have a cost that is greater than the dollar amount you will see in your bank account. Okay, some things do have a cost that is greater than the dollar amount that you will see in your bank account. Okay, these things cost some things that I don't think is really worth it in the end. And some people, but That's the thing you should think about, okay? And on the flip side of that, for the flip side of that, I just talked about if you're okay with giving into the temptation. I talked about if you're okay with giving into the lust, the gluttony, the greed, the lying, the deception, the gossip, you know what I'm saying? If you're okay with that, okay. But now let's go to the other side of that, okay? And we should be hopefully wrapping this up soon. We should definitely be wrapping this up soon, okay? I'm gonna just say a couple more things, all right? But the other side of that is for the people who have made the decision that they're gonna go against that. And when I say go against it, they're not going to give in to their temptations. Okay. They're not going to give in to the lust. They're not going to give in to the greed. They're not going to give in to, you know, the gluttony, the lying, the deception. They're not going to give in to the gossip. They're not going to give in to the subtracting from the plus. Okay. You know, then that means you have to stay true to it and you got to stick to the path. For all the people that out there that are really serious about it, that really, you know, are like, you know what, I'm actually going to give this a good chance. I'm going to give this a good effort. That's good on you. So keep going. Okay. That's what I would tell you. Because I'm going to tell you, it's not easy. It's not easy. Okay. And hey, this is a video for another day. How about how we're living in the upside down times? But that is one of the symptoms of the upside down times that we're living in, is that the things that you actually should be doing are actually hard at first and become easier after you've been doing it for a while. And the things that you actually should not be doing are actually very easy to do at first and for a while, but then it becomes harder to do as you get older, okay? And that's a symptom of the upside down times we're in. But the things that you should be sticking to, right? At first, like I'm saying, it's not going to be easy, okay? For the people out here who, you know what, I reject gluttony, I reject greed, I reject lying, deceit, stealing, I reject all these things, you know what I'm saying, lust. It's not going to be easy, bro. I'm going to be the first to tell you, you will fail. I have failed before. You will fail. Okay, but it's the difference between the failures and the people who have failed is the people who get back up. That's the difference. Okay, you can fail, but you got to keep going. That's the difference. Okay, some people fail and they decided to take the ladder with them. Okay, that's the truth. Some people fail and they decide, I'm taking the ladder with me. No, you got to fall and you got to climb back up that ladder, and you gonna see that you can climb another ladder and you can keep going and keep going, and eventually you will reach a spot you're comfortable. Okay, but the only way you will get there is if you do not give up on yourself, okay? I am not giving up on myself, you know, and I will not give up on anybody out there who actually wants to stay true to the things that they believe, man. And hey, what do we talk about? Not giving in to the lust, not giving in to the greed, not giving in to the sins of the world, right? The temptations of the flesh, right? That's how people want to say it, right? I can say that. I'll say that. But for the people out there who are actually serious about that, who actually don't want to give into that, and who actually are putting actions behind their words, because this stuff is way easier said than done, right? Like, it's easy for me to come on here and talk forever about this stuff, but after I'm done, I got to get off the phone, right? Or like stop recording this video. I'm still gonna have the phone next to me, okay? I still got Safari. I still got the browser. I still got the incognito that really ain't incognito. I still got all this stuff, dude. I could make this video, and right after I make this video, I could literally give into lust. I could literally give into the temptations, the greed, the gossip, the lying, you know what I'm saying? And I could do all that. I could start looking at pictures of women online. I could go to them sites, the corn. I could do all of that after I get off this video, and that would just take the everything I'm saying for granted. That would take the weight out of these words instantly. But hopefully whoever's watching this, whoever's listening, can feel that I am actually living what I'm saying. And that's the difference. I ain't just saying it. I'm actually out here doing this. So for the people who are true, okay, to themselves, and are like, I will no longer lie to myself. I will no longer give into lust. I will no longer give into greed. I will no longer give into the temptation, okay? You're going to become your own steed. You're going to become your own, you know what I'm saying? You're going to become strong. For all those people out there, okay? Keep going. It's not going to be easy, but as you continue to keep going, it will start to make sense, and it will become easier, okay? It will become easier. But I will say, give yourself some grace, okay? Don't be too hard on yourself, okay? But understand that it does get easier, okay? It does become sustainable, okay? But it takes time, and it does take some dedication, and it does take practice, okay? You don't just wake up, especially if you've been out here sinning, especially if you've been out here sleeping with the whole neighborhood, your neighbor's wife, your own girl. You don't just wake up after doing all that stuff and you're like, today is the day the Lord is made. No, you're lying to yourself, okay? That is not how that works, okay? And if anybody comes to you like that, they're lying. I'll be the first to tell you, get away from that person right now, because they're deluding themselves. That is not how it works, bro, because it's different. If you really been out here, indulging in the indulgences, okay, partaking in the... If you partake in partaking out here, then it's not gonna be easy to just get up and be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm dropping all that stuff right now. Like, I don't even need it. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Don't kid yourself. Don't children yourself. Don't child yourself. Listen, it's gonna take some time, okay? But like I've said before in another video, look, the first step in solving a problem is recognizing you have a problem, okay? And at least for me personally, I've had to admit I got all the problems in the world. I got all the problems in the world. But because I got those problems, I can admit it. And then I could be like, you know what? Now we got to solve them. Am I just going to complain the whole time? Am I just going to be sitting here, me? I decided, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to get up, okay, and I'm going to put some action behind these words, and I'm actually going to get out here and do these things. That's what I'm going to do, okay? So once again, hey, I'm talking long. For the people that are actually serious about this, look, I got to give y'all a shout out. For the people who are actually out here putting in the work, you know what I'm saying, trying not to fall into these temptations of the flesh, really out here saying, I'm not going to do this. That ain't my girl. I can't even look at her like that. You feel me? Like, that's somebody's wife over there. Like, bro, that's them. For the people who are actually out here doing that, and just, you know what I'm saying? Hey, you got to stay true. You have to keep going, okay? And you will see the fruits, bro. The people who really are out here putting in that work, they already know that this stuff is not a lie. This stuff isn't cap, okay? It does actually have an effect. When you abstain from, and I'm using the lust because that's the big thing for me. But there's other people out here who maybe lust ain't their biggest problem. Maybe it's greed. Maybe it's gluttony. Maybe it's lying. Maybe it's gossiping. Maybe it's stealing. Maybe it's being conniving. Maybe that's their problem, okay? And they will see once they actually try not to do those things, how hard it really is to do those things, okay? People will literally go crazy, bro. You will go crazy, bro. When you first start trying to do this stuff, you will go crazy, bro, because it's a crazy thing to do, bro. Most people are comfortable and they would rather be comfortable for their entire lives, bro. That's the truth, bro. Most people get comfortable and they're like, you know what? I think I'm going to just stay here, bro. I think I'm going to just stay comfortable. I'm going to stay drinking all day. I'm going to stay smoking all day. I'm going to stay high all day. I'm going to stay all these things all the time. And once again, it's about balance, okay? So if you do like to honestly indulge in the indulgences, that's not the problem. The problem is when you become the indulgence itself. That's the problem, okay? Nobody's out here saying don't drink ever, don't smoke ever, don't enjoy your... Nobody's saying that, but there is a balance. There's definitely a balance, okay? So once again, there are people out here who would rather just stay comfortable. There's people out here who will rather just, you know what? I've been drinking for so long, basically every day, there's no point in changing. I've been smoking for so long every day, there ain't no point in changing. I'm gonna just, hey, I'm gonna try, but I'm not really gonna try. I'm gonna lie, but I'm just really gonna, I'm really just gonna keep smoking, Hey, say whatever you want. You can't lie to the spirit, you can't lie to the soul. You can't lie to the spirit, you can't lie to the soul because you already know. You can't lie to the spirit, you can't lie to the soul because you already know. So you're only lying to yourself. You could tell them anything. You could tell me anything. I'm going to try this. Go tell yourself that, okay? Because that's great to hear, but are you actually doing that or are you just saying that, okay? Once again, actions speak louder than words. I can be on here and talk forever. I can be on here and say all these things, all these nice words and all these things. But at the end of the day, there has to be action that backs it up, okay? So once again, for the people out here, and I'm not going to lie, I could have probably stopped the video, but I do want to get to an hour because it's like one of the longest I ever recorded for, which is actually pretty cool. So it's only like a couple more minutes left. So once again, I'm going to give my shout outs again to the people who are actually out here, who are serious about this, who really are on this path, who really are serious about not giving into temptations, not giving into lust, right? And really being that guy with the DMs dry. Hey, really being that guy with the DMs dry, bro. Like, Hey, if people can brag about having all the women in their DMs, hey, good on them, honestly. And I actually mean that. Good on them. But that means I can brag about being that guy with the DMs dry. Okay, if they can brag about all the girls that they got, on their eye, then I can brag about being the guy with the DMs dry. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, bro. Hey, I ain't out here indulging the indulgences 24/7. I ain't out here partaking in the partaking, okay? So look, I can brag about that. But look, one more time, shout out to the people who are serious. And then once again, if you are serious, it's not going to be easy. You're going to be tempted, okay? And as you go on, you can be tempted even more. But you do start to develop that discipline. You do start to develop that focus, that self-control to be like, you know what? It's just not going to go. It's just not going to happen right now. Like, I'm feeling the urges, but it's just not going to happen right now. Like, I'm not going to let you win, bro. Like, it's just not going to happen, bro. Like, you can come to me and you can do whatever you want. But at the end of the day, I'm going to stand strong in the things that, that I'm going to do. So we just got to an hour on this video. I've been yapping, talking for a while, but hope you guys enjoyed, man. So, hey, that's the video. Once again, my goal is that whoever's watching, whoever's listening can take something from this, and hopefully it resonates with them. Hopefully it's something they understand and they can take whatever part of it and they can apply it to their situation, their circumstance in the best way they see fit and have some progress and have some progression. With that being said, that is the video. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.